Well, good morning again. I'm Dom DeMeo with the CEO of the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance, and we're here this morning to present another one of our Blitz, a series that has been sponsored for the last few months by Bank of America. We brought this series on to highlight and spotlight some of our community leaders throughout the region that were celebrated last year as a Sandies Award winner. So this morning we have Peggy Kronus. If you don't know Peggy, which I think almost everybody in our community does, Peggy is with Willis Construction. And we have with us this morning also as our moderator, Devin Dash, and Devin is with Axiom Strategic Consulting. As usual, with these Blitz events, I've thanked Nida Bittman-Neville and the Blitz subcommittee for helping us develop what I think is an exciting series that has been well accepted. And we are planning to try to bring it to you again later in the year as another type of series. So the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance and Bank of America bring you the Blitz Part 5. We hope you enjoy. And Devin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dom. Thank you. I have the privilege of introducing Peggy Kronus to you all this morning. I'm really excited. I had plenty of time to talk with Peggy before this. And as Dom mentioned, Peggy is an outstanding individual. She won the Individual Community Champion Award, which recognized a person in our community for showing the strong support of the community and the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance. Peggy, just a little background on Peggy. She was born in New Orleans and raised in Hickson, Tennessee. And she brought all of that Southern hospitality here. She attended the University of Tennessee in Knoxville and Chattanooga, and she majored in marketing. At Willis Smith, Peggy is the Community Business Development Manager. She's outgoing, positive, and energetic by nature, which enhances her ability to provide corporate support to client and nonprofit organizations within our community by creating positive client exposure. In addition to all of that she does for Willis Smith, she serves on numerous philanthropic organizations with a focus on raising awareness and working together to make a difference for the community of Lakewood Ranch, both in Manatee and Sarasota counties. She actively serves on the board of directors for the Sisterhood for Good and is the chair of Events and Fundraising Committee and a founding member, and she is a member of the business development team for Easter Seals of Southwest Florida. Peggy, it is a pleasure to have you this morning and be able to share you with our community.
Thank you, and good morning, Devin.
So I know we had plenty of time to talk and run through these questions, and I was blown away at how involved you are in our community, not just through your role at Willis Smith, but outside of that. And so we have the privilege of kind of stepping into a more personal conversation today because Willis Smith also won the Business Community Champion Award and we interviewed David Otterness for that. So don't hesitate to dive more into I really want to get into just your involvement with Sisterhood for Good and Easter Seals and how maybe you transitioned during COVID and in the midst of the pandemic last year to really highlight those organizations and make sure that you stayed connected, that you were staying positive in those organizations. So let's just start with just open question. What did you do to stay connected with all of the organizations that you're involved with when traditional networking was limited and we didn't have the ability to go and rub shoulders, if you will?
Right. And I can speak for myself. I definitely missed rubbing shoulders. But we dove right into the virtual world just as everyone else was forced to do with teams such as in StreamYard, just like we are doing today, and Zoom. We, because we're essential, we have the ability to meet outside with proper CDC guidelines being followed, masks being worn, and social distancing taking place because the whole world had to reimagine itself. But as a company, in my role, we had to provide the reassurance to, not just our clients and our teams and our work family, but to our community. So we needed to keep that momentum to moving forward. And you mentioned the Sisterhood for Good. We had just had a successful annual spring fashion show the week before the world stopped. So we were able to raise the funds that we needed for the grants season, and we awarded over $42,000 to various organizations helping hundreds of people. So that the timing of our fundraising efforts was spot on. But moving forward, we also realized we can't stop. And when this happened, I just sat in my desk and I thought, what am I going to do now? And I went to my leadership, Dave Sessions and John LaCivita, and I'm like, y'all, we got to help these people. We got to do something. So that's when game on, literally, no pun intended, but we moved forward full steam ahead.
So you mentioned the word reimagine, and I know that word came up in our conversation a few weeks back. What are some of the ways that Willis Smith reimagined, and what are some of the examples that you gave for how the organizations that you're involved with outside of Willis Smith, how did you reimagine things there?
Right. Well, because fear of the unknown of COVID, like I said, it was like we didn't stop because we're essential workers, but we took a pause, let's just say. I was approached by the Lakewood Ranch PPE group, and they had sponsored with and partnered, I should say, with Goodwill. And Goodwill donated 50,000 pounds of material. Y'all, that's a lot of shirts. And they contacted me, and of course I was willing to help. And my leadership at Willis Smith said, go, Peggy, just do what you need to do to continue. And I hate to say this, continue our brand, but we make a huge impact in our community, and we were able to move forward with that just in a little different way. So this space that I'm in today became a war room, literally, with hundreds of shirts and my coworkers sitting here, and we were cutting patterns for face masks because there were no face masks to be found. Willis Smith became a hub for pickup of material to cut into mask and then drop back off and then pick up again for seamstress to sew and create mask. So we were able to work together as a company, and the community came together. And what I love is everybody made a difference, for the first responders, the frontline workers, for the nursing homes and ALFs and the elderly, because that's where the care immediately had to go to. And funny story, if you take a double extra large shirt and you lay it out, you can get 9 masks made out of that. I shouldn't know that information, but I did it often.
I'm glad you said that. If you hadn't said it, I was going to quiz you. That came up in our conversation.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That is just amazing how you reimagined. You think of a building and construction company, a community builder, and you think, what materials are we going to use now to build? And you guys totally transitioned, took that pause. You were still active in the community because you're essential, but you added a new material to your portfolio, if you will, right, cloth and fabric, and started constructing masks. What are some of the ways that you reimagined operations, or reimagine in the nonprofit world with your involvement with Easter Seals and Sisterhood for Good?
Well, Easter Seals, unfortunately had to take a pause because of the families, and they couldn't provide the same level of care and service. But Willis Smith's culture is to help the nonprofits in our community and to help the community in which we build. My role is to share the story of Willis Smith first, and then to combine that stories with the nonprofit that we support. Sisterhood for Good was able to work with Meals on Wheels of Manatee, and as a whole, you look at the support for 2020 that we had planned out through the year, let's say even including the Alliance, because we support a lot of their main events as a sponsor. Our sponsorships then became donations, and to continue to provide the care, because those nonprofits didn't stop. Their needs still go forward, and we were happy to support. That was something that, again, Dave Sessions and John LaCivita, Dave Otterness were 100% behind. With our company, we worked closely. Yes, I made masks, but they were somewhat awkward. We worked with Annette Gooley with Promotion Oceans, and I said, Annette, I need you. We sat down, and sadly, our world relied on China. So that wasn't an option. So we soon looked, Annette looked at vendors within the United States, and hope I'm not misspoken here, but I'm pretty sure that we were the first to have branded masks. And I gave that to our teams, and then if the subcontractor needed it, because safety is always a number one concern and priority for Willis Smith, but the focus changed a little. And like county shut down without being in person, but our projects still were moving forward. I mentioned the momentum. We didn't stop. The clients still needed to be on time with their building, whatever that would be. And although there, I believe, is still probably some residual effects and delays, like Canada shut down, so lumber wasn't coming to the States. Just kind of things like that. So we had to reinvent the way our projects went forward, but we're in construction. Every day is an adventure.
You mentioned momentum, and it's safe to say that a lot of momentum going into 2020 was really slowed. But you guys kept pushing, and you kept pushing. In your mind, what stands out as the biggest victory for Willis Smith, and maybe personally for you this year? And not that those two are distinct and separate. What's the biggest victory that you've had in this past year?
I think the word I would use is adaptation. We adapted to the environment that was presented to us. Our leadership took the office teams and set up home offices. And my counterparts, Liz Brooken and Cassandra Burwood, they rocked out all of the RFPs that they normally would be doing in the office, and they did it from home. I was still cutting masks in the office, and it was so quiet. So we changed our environment. We made it effective, and we made it as efficient as we could, and we never stopped. We just made our culture just a little bit different.
That's great. And so, I know one of the things that I got to get insight on during our conversations was one of the ways that you continued to support the clients that Willis Smith was serving in building the community in your role. One of the ways that you did that was a unique spin on brand awareness and maintaining that exposure and elevating the clients that you serve during the pandemic. And you mentioned in particular the fire stations and the work that you did for them. So can you dive into that a little bit and how that what that looked like and how you maintained and built brand awareness even in the midst of the pandemic with the fire stations.
Yes, so with Sarasota County, we had the iconic fire station located on CS Key. And it needed so much awareness and attention and community involvement, but yeah, that was not happening at all. We were the first construction company to work with Sarasota County and have a groundbreaking during this quarantine and pandemic, and it looked very different. So I, like I said, am the one that shares our story. And I was able to work with Nellie's Deli and Craig and Freda, and we sat down and we figured this out. I no longer could share the sunshine and serve you as I so often have. We had to wrap everything and box everything and present that to the teams and the first responders, and we had to have separate thank yous and in small groups because we had to be in compliance. Everybody had to be masked, and we did that with the first responders, and we did it in groups throughout the day. So we would serve them their boxes, kind of impersonable, but I still am able to create exciting things. Like we had built balloon fire hydrants to enhance the experience, and we were able to use Bite Me cookies and make creative labels and logos of thank yous. And we had the topping out party for the Sarasota Sheriff Service Center, and it was an amazing facility and really, really large. And we had a one-man band, and I looked around and I have a photo that will forever be marked in time of the audience. So much of excitement of one person. Because the county wouldn't allow for the sheriff and the employees to partake. So we fed everyone, and we had our one-man band and our one-man show. So we still moved forward. We still supported the client and the subcontractors that we value. We just had to look at it in a little different way.
You know, that's really a testament of one example of how you maintained the awareness, but you also maintained morale. I know one of the things that you mentioned earlier was this idea of reimagining, and in our conversation, we also you talked about the phrase reassure as you reimagine. So
yes.
When you think of that phrase, and how did you reassure at Willis Smith? How did Peggy work with her team to reassure as they reimagined, and how did you keep morale up during the time?
Well, I love the term random acts of kindness, and I love making people feel special. And we had birthday celebrations from a distance. So many places had shut down, but nothing but cakes. They were there for us. Everything was in a container to be taken to go. A little differently, but it was there. And we're still able to share the sparkle with everyone and celebrate them. We were able to have company events because we can utilize the outside. We are so fortunate to be in Florida, and Willis Smith has what we call the DJ Swamp, and it's an outdoor area, and we socially distanced, and we were able to have meals and bring our teams together. Even though we couldn't hug, we were still together and celebrating the accomplishments. We had boxed meals taken to projects and on site to also celebrate their achievements, because let's just say everybody was hunkered down and taking their pause. Willis Smith and our teams were out there moving forward, because at the end of the day, we build our landmarks for our clients and our communities, and that didn't stop.
Yeah, it's safe to say that the needs of the community shifted, and,
Yes.
and you guys have made a lot of changes in response to that. When you think about all of the individuals that you work with, and you think about the Lakewood Ranch community, the Sarasota, Manatee counties as a whole, what do you think about the resilience of the community? And is there anything that stood out or impressed you about the community in the past?
Oh,
In the past year?
most definitely. I think that many of us have a philanthropic mindset. And I know it's the culture of Willis Smith, Dave Sessions, and John, and I can list Brett and Taylor and Nate, and they work with the community, they work with the counties on the government side with the schools. And looking back, people were hungry. So we still supported Meals on Wheels and Maribeth Phillips. That need only grew. And you look how everyone did come together, the community, Publix, and we fed the people who were doing without. And a lot of people lost their jobs and they didn't know what they were going to do. But we pulled together, we helped the nonprofits. And I think that 2020 reminds me of the community that made the difference.
Can you talk more about that?
Well, so for the Sisterhood for Good, we looked at our organization and said, what are we going to do next? And I'm like, we have to have an event. With people hunkering down inside, we took all the necessary precautions with the vendors, with Pier 22, with the casino party planners, and we are so blessed to have Sarasota Polo literally right down the street, and Ron Tridick and the Millers. They're amazing because they opened up their facility and reinvented events. Because now we had all this crazy space to utilize, and we were able to come in there, and we had a really huge goal. And we were able to raise over $20,000 to help the nonprofits within our community. And so now we're in our giving season and grant season. So for all those nonprofits out there that have a need, go on sisterhoodforgood.org and fill out an application for a grant, because we're working hard to continue to help you.
That's great. So giving everything that we've talked about so far, we are kind of hopefully turning a corner. And I think that's really important. I think a lot of people are hopefully a lot of people are beginning to see the light at the end of the tunnel. What is the light at the end of the tunnel for you, and as you look forward into 2021?
Well, 2021 has opened up a lot of awareness for the world that is around us, and bringing everybody together in person is absolutely amazing. I know Sarasota Chamber of Commerce just had their first in-person event. I know Sisterhood for Good, we had our Vegas casino night and had everyone together. And I think that as a company and as a community, it really has brought people closer together. I think that when you're not allowed to be together, it makes you sit down and think, what really matters? And being one and being whole has made our company stronger, and I believe the community as a whole. Like, everyone is stronger because we all just want to help each other now.
Peggy, thank you so much for the time that you took this morning to just have this conversation. I hope it was a benefit for me. It excites me to think about all that you guys did during the pandemic to not slow down. And then, you really touched on a thing that makes this community so strong, which is our ability to rally together, to connect, and to serve one another. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me.
Thank you for your time.
Dom, back to you.
Thank you, Devin, and thank you, Peggy. Peggy, for what you do for the community and for a lot of people just individually. So you're an amazing person. Keep doing it. I know you will. So we're thankful that you're in our region. A couple upcoming events for the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance. We have some fun stuff coming up, and most of it in person. Thursday, April 22nd, we'll be celebrating together as a membership at Sunset for Polo at the Sarasota Polo Club. So come see some polo, drinks, appetizers. Tickets are free, so no cost, and members only on that event. April 23rd, joint luncheon with SHRA, the Sarasota Human Resource Association. We're talking about the arts of building bridges to local iconic leaders, talking about diversity and sharing their knowledge. That'll be a luncheon on the 23rd. And on Thursday, April 29th, our open air showcase over at the mall at UTC. Booths are still available and tickets are free as well to attend. So feel free to come out and socialize with your members and see the people that are actually celebrating their companies at each one of those booths. We'd love to have you as a sponsor. A couple openings still there, and as a booth, there are still openings on the booth, as I said. So, and then Cinco de Mayo, Wednesday, May 5th. We are celebrating over at the Esplanade, their brand new building at the golf course, and having some appetizers and drinks there as well. So we'd love to have you over there on May 5th. I will end with thanking Bank of America. Bank of America, again, sponsored this 5-part series, kind of sight unknown as to how it was going to be, and helped us celebrate our community leaders and the efforts that they showed through the pandemic, and as they won some of our iconic awards last year. So thank you, Bank of America, and thank you all for attending our last of what was a 5-part series, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.